Alright everyone, we're going to do a video here of how I clean and set up my ball python enclosure. So let's get right to it. I've already dumped out all the old stuff and I cleaned the inside really well, disinfected it, and I'll show you what I used and then I'll set it back up. So here's it emptied out. There's the pad, the heating pad. I have a little bit of humidity deal here. And this is what I use to disinfect it. It's called Wipeout. You can get it at PetSmart or Petco. It disinfects, cleans, and deodorizes. And then I like to use on the bottom plastic bag. So I just go ahead and cut the handles off, cut it open. Hard to do with one hand, so I'm going to pause it and get it set up and stick it back in. Okay, so I got the plastic cut up and stuck in there. I'm not sure where that plastic's been, so I actually disinfected it before I stuck it inside my cage. Better safe than sorry, I guess. And then I will start layering with paper towel and then the substrate. And then I have my heat gun so I could tell what the temperature on his bed where he sleeps. So right now we're a little too hot. We're about 10 degrees over, so I'll have to make that nice and thick. You should always have a thermostat for your snake cage so you don't cook your snake. The thermostat will be hooked to the heat pad and plugged into the wall, and then it will regulate the temperature of the cage. Mine broke, so I have another one coming. It's coming in the mail, but I do have one over here on this snake cage for my other snake. It's down there. It's that little black box you see. So it plugs into there. The pad plugs into that. The cord goes inside, and it goes right to the bed. And then the temperature is kept right at 90 degrees. Very important to have for your snake. So let me finish the paper towels. I do a layer of paper towels next, and then the substrate. I do it this way so I can just grab that plastic, pull it all out, keeps the bottom nice and clean, and everything pulls out in one bundle. You can actually just roll it and take it right out and makes less of a mess on the ground. Alright, this is what I like to use for my bedding. It's Aspen Snake Bedding by ZooMed. I get it at Petco, just like everything else. And then in California where I live, it's very dry. So I make one of these little boxes for the snake to be able to go into to get some extra humidity right before it sheds, so it has a good shed. There's just some moss in here. And I cut a hole in the Tupperware and I set it on his side. I actually find the snake in here at least 2-3 times a week. He loves it. So he gets a nice humidity out of it. And then, you know, ball pythons don't need to climb, but I stuck this in here and I found that he climbs on it every week. And it gives him a little bit of a interesting thing to check out and do. So I think he really enjoys it. It's nice and dark. I like to put it to his little dark, cool spot back here. He finds it just fine. So let me finish up and then I'll take another heat temp reading on his bed and his ambient temp and his cool temp. I like to have the heat temp around 90. I like to have the cool temp right around 75 to 80, right around there. And the ambient somewhere around 77, which can be hard because, you know, we have air conditioning in the house, so gotta keep an eye on that. And here's a trick I like to do if you have a low humidity cage and you want to raise the humidity but not the mold and the bacteria. Put the moss inside of a plastic bag. It'll keep it separate. And it raises your humidity by like 10 to 15% in your cage, so it's great for the shed. So this cage is almost done. I just have to move the little guy in. Got Little sweat box back there. Got his blind back there. Got his warm spot up here. Some nice water. And let's go get him. So I noticed when I had my snake resting while I was cleaning the cage, he was having a really rough shed. So you could tell a lot of the skin was not coming off. And I think it was because his little sweat box was pretty dry in there. And his bowl's not big enough to get all the way in. So I'm just gonna do a little soak. And they say to soak the snake for about an hour, but I don't like to do that because the water gets cold. So I do about 30 minutes, and then I switch the water out and do another 30 minutes, and I use my heat gun because what feels warm to you is usually around 100 and 110 degrees, which is a little too hot for the snake. I don't do over 95 on my water. And then I let him soak, and then that skin peels right off. That way he doesn't have several sheds backed up. So we'll get him out, we'll clean him up, we'll stick him in his cage. Okay, let's do one last temperature check before we bring Elio to his cage. So that's good. Alright, so we got some 90s going on in here. That's good. Don't want to be over 95. I wasn't, so we're good. We'll set that so he can get over here hotter or over here a little cooler in the same enclosure. And I'm gonna go get him now. Alright, here he is after his soak. He wants to get in his little house. He can check it out now. He's all excited about it. There's a banana, 50% het clown. He does this every time I put him in. He checks out his whole cage and he goes right into his warm spot. Okay, he's happy. I went ahead and put one of those moss bags back here for him. Make it a little bit more humid. And that's it. Check out your place, man.